Hello, I'm Sarah from Truth, Lies, Betrayal. Welcome to Horror After Dark. Turn down the lights, keep an open mind, and prepare for tonight's nightmare. Let's begin.
I never believed in cursed towns, abandoned places, or those stories online that always end with "I barely escaped." Most of them feel exaggerated. I always assumed there was a logical explanation behind everything. I don't think that anymore. I found Ash Creek completely by accident. About 2 years ago, I was driving home after visiting my cousin. It was late sometime after midnight and I still had another few hours before I'd reach home. My phone had already lost signal, and the highway had become almost empty. Then my GPS suddenly rerouted me. I didn't question it. I figured traffic or construction must have forced a detour. The route took me off the highway and onto smaller roads. After another 20 minutes, I passed a faded wooden sign. "Welcome to Ash Creek Population." 413. The sign looked old but maintained. Fresh paint, flowers planted underneath. The town itself looked normal. Streetlights worked. Houses stood neatly along quiet roads. Everything looked lived in. But there was something wrong. There were no people. No cars moving. No televisions glowing through windows. Nothing. The whole place felt paused. I decided to stop and ask for directions. Eventually, I found a small gas station with lights still on. Inside sat an older man behind the counter reading a newspaper. When I walked in, he looked up. The second he saw me, his expression changed. Not surprise, not confusion. Disappointment, like he already knew what had happened. "Passing through?" he asked. "Yeah," I answered. He stared for a moment before folding his newspaper. "You shouldn't stay." I laughed awkwardly. "Trust me, I'm not planning to." He looked out the window, then quietly said, "You say that now." Before I could ask what he meant, he pointed toward the road. "Drive east." That was all. I bought water and left. Back in my car, I followed his directions. 10 minutes later, I passed the welcome sign again. "Welcome to Ash Creek Population, 413." Same flowers. Same cracked corner. I stopped, turned around, drove the opposite direction. 20 minutes later, same sign. Ash Creek. I checked my dashboard. Fuel hadn't moved. Clock still read 1:17 a.m. That's when I stopped feeling annoyed and started feeling scared. I kept driving. Fast, then faster. Every road looped. Every turn returned me to the same empty streets. After what felt like hours, I found the gas station again. The old man was still sitting there. Same newspaper, same page. He looked up and simply said, "Told you." I confronted the gas station owner and demanded answers. After a long silence, he said, "People arrive sometimes." I asked how to leave. He looked down. No one ever figured it out. I laughed until he added, "We stopped counting years." I drove until exhaustion forced me into a motel. Inside were people who didn't look scared, just tired. A woman asked quietly, "How long have you been here?" 6 hours, I said. She looked at me and whispered, "You still think time works here?" That night I looked out the motel window. Dozens of people stood outside, all staring at my room. Residents, walking slowly down the street. None of them spoke. Every single one stopped outside my window, then turned and looked directly at me. Expressionless, one raised their hand, then another, then all of them, slowly waving. Not greeting me, not warning me, just waving, like they knew something I didn't. I locked the door and stayed awake until morning. When sunlight came, the street was empty. No footprints, nothing. I decided to search the town. That's when I found the cemetery. Rows of identical gravestones. No dates, only names. Near the back, fresh dirt. One unfinished gravestone. Blank except for one thing. My name. I ran. I don't remember much after that. I got back into my car and drove. Didn't stop. Didn't look behind me. Eventually my signal returned. The highway appeared. Clock changed to 8:42 a.m. I made it home. I never told anyone. Months later, I searched for Ash Creek. Nothing, no records, no maps, like it never existed. Last week, I found the water bottle from that night in my garage, still cold. Attached was the receipt. The date printed on it yesterday. At the bottom, thank you for staying in Ash Creek population, 414 this morning. I checked again. Population, 415. I never believed in stories about cursed places. Most of the time, there was always an explanation, someone exaggerating, remembering things wrong, or trying to scare strangers online. That changed because of a school. Not an abandoned hospital, not some mansion hidden deep in the woods, just a school. Its name was Hollow Pines Elementary. I was 19 and had recently started making extra money filming abandoned places for a small YouTube channel. Nothing serious, empty factories, closed diners, forgotten buildings people passed every day without thinking twice. I usually went alone because it was easier to film. One evening, I got an email. No subject line, no sender name, just one sentence: go before they tear it down. Stay until the last bell. Underneath was an address. I looked the place up and found almost nothing. Hollow Pines Elementary had been closed for 15 years because of low enrollment and funding issues. That was it. No accidents, no crimes, no urban legends. It sounded perfect. I drove there just before sunset. The school sat alone at the end of a long road lined with dead grass and thin pine trees. The building looked strange, not abandoned in the usual way. No broken glass, no graffiti, no signs people had explored it. It looked paused. I grabbed my camera and walked up. The front doors opened with almost no effort. Inside smelled like old books and dry air. The hallway stretched in both directions. Student artwork still hung on the walls. Construction paper leaves. Attendance charts. Awards from years ago. Everything looked like people had walked out one afternoon and never returned. I started filming. Classrooms, the gym, library, nothing unusual. After about 20 minutes, I found the main office. Most of the furniture was untouched. Stacks of paper still sat on desks. I opened filing cabinets mostly for footage, but one drawer got stuck halfway open. Inside was a folder labeled Incident Reports Final Month. Most of the documents were missing. Only 3 remained. The first said students had reported hearing the dismissal bell ring at random times during class. The second stated maintenance found nothing wrong with the electrical system. The third report was only one sentence. I found a notice near the entrance. Staff are instructed not to respond to the bell unless dismissal is announced over intercom. I laughed. Then the school bell rang. 3 loud rings. No power. No lights. Minutes later, I noticed every classroom door was open. I knew they were closed before. Inside one room, written on the whiteboard, wait for the bell. Then it rang again. Longer, closer, and after it stopped, I heard chairs scraping. Classroom after classroom, like students standing up. I stood completely still. The sound continued. Not behind me, beside me. Every room I passed, like something was moving room by room. I started walking toward the entrance. Fast, the scraping followed. I turned the corner into the main hallway and froze. Children, standing at the far end. Maybe 15 of them. Different heights. Backpacks, hands at their sides. Completely still. I couldn't see faces clearly, but they were all looking at me. I raised my camera. The screen showed an empty hallway. I lowered it. They were closer. I didn't think. I turned and started moving toward the exit. Not running. I don't know why. Something in my head kept repeating, "Don't run in school." Then the intercom clicked on. Static. A woman's voice. Calm, normal. Students will remain seated until the final bell. I ran. Immediately behind me, footsteps. Dozens, then hundreds. Small shoes slapping against tile. Fast, getting closer. I reached the front doors and shoved. Locked. I slammed them again. Nothing. Then silence. Complete silence. One final bell rang. Right above me. Long, final dismissal. Click, the doors unlocked. I stumbled outside and sprinted to my car. I drove away without looking in the mirrors. That night I reviewed the footage. Everything seemed normal. Empty rooms, bell sounds, my breathing. Until one clip. During the first bell, my camera had accidentally pointed into a classroom. Every desk was empty, except one. A little girl sat in the back row, hands folded, looking directly into the camera. She smiled. The microphone barely caught what she said. Quiet, almost polite. "Why did you leave before attendance?" I never believed in stories about the woods. I'm not saying I thought nothing bad could happen out there. People get lost, people panic, people do stupid things. But every town has its own legends, and ours happened to be about the forest north of the county road. People called it Whisper Pine. The story was simple: don't tell the woods your name. Nobody explained why. When I was younger, my friends and I joked about it constantly. We'd walk trails, yell our names into the trees, wait for some ghost to answer. Nothing ever happened. Years later, I stopped thinking about it. Then, my cousin Aaron came to stay with me for a weekend. Aaron was the kind of person who loved abandoned places, local myths, and filming everything. He ran a tiny channel online and wanted to make one of those exploring creepy locations videos. I told him about Whisper Pine. Big mistake. That night, around 8 p.m., he convinced me to drive out there. It wasn't isolated enough to feel dangerous. There were marked trails, old signs, and a parking area. Still, once the sun disappeared, the place changed. The woods felt unusually quiet. Not peaceful quiet, the kind where you notice the absence of normal sounds. Aaron started recording immediately. "Okay, so apparently the trees steal your identity or something," he joked to the camera. I rolled my eyes. We walked maybe 15 minutes before reaching a clearing. Aaron turned his flashlight toward me. "What's your full name?" I laughed. "Seriously? For the video?" I said no. He shrugged and looked at the camera. "Well, I'm Aaron Mitchell." He spread his arms dramatically. "There, Woods. You know my name now. Nothing happened." We laughed and kept walking. About 10 minutes later, Aaron stopped. "Did you hear that?" I listened. Nothing, then very faint. "Aaron," a voice. Not clear enough to know where it came from. Aaron smiled. "You heard it too?" I said it was probably another hiker. But nobody else should have been there. We kept moving. A few minutes later, Aaron, same voice. Closer, this time it sounded wrong. Like someone who had only heard human speech once. Aaron called out, "Hello?" No answer. Then from somewhere deeper in the trees, Aaron. Exactly his voice. His smile disappeared. We started heading back. Fast, as we walked, we kept hearing movement, branches snapping, leaves shifting, always behind us, never catching up. Then Aaron stopped suddenly, his flashlight pointed ahead. There was someone standing on the trail, too far to see clearly. Tall, motionless. I raised my flashlight. "Nobody," Aaron whispered. "You saw it too?" I nodded. We kept walking. Then his phone rang. No caller ID. He answered. Silence, then his own voice came through. "Aaron." He hung up immediately. At this point we were almost jogging. Then one voice spoke, right beside us. "What is yours?" We ran. No conversation. No looking back. Just straight toward the parking lot. I got to the car first. Aaron wasn't behind me. I turned. Nothing. No footsteps. No flashlight. Just woods. Then, from somewhere inside my voice. "Calling Aaron." I shouted for him. No response. I called police. Search teams looked until morning. They found Aaron's camera near the clearing. No signs of struggle. No footprints leaving the trail. The footage was normal until the end. The last clip showed Aaron filming trees. Then he turned the camera toward himself. His face looked confused. He whispered, "Why do I keep hearing my name?" Then behind the camera my voice said, "Because now we know it." Aaron was never found. I moved away after that. I don't tell this story often. But last month, almost 4 years later, I got a voicemail from an unknown number. Static, wind, then a familiar voice. Older somehow. Quiet. Can you remind me what my name was?
Hi, it's me, Sarah. The story may be over, but some nightmares never truly end. If you enjoyed tonight's episode, please like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to join us for more terrifying stories here on Horror After Dark. And remember, sometimes the things that scare us most aren't hiding in the dark. They're already inside the house. Good night, and sleep carefully.